Greetings. Welcome to Of Darkness and Light. This is Daphne Garrido. I have completed a chapter of Dead and Gone to Heaven, and I just wanted to talk about it briefly. Maybe not too briefly. We'll see. It will be a journey to explore my creative process on this. This was a step up, it felt, for my flow of creation. I use music, and it's important to my process. The 4 tracks I used on this, 2 of them changed multiple times. And so I write inflected to the characters, inspired by the music tonally, to sometimes crisscross what might be expected for something more accurately depicting of a character's interior perspective. Meaning, I will choose a song that feels out of place in some kind of reversal. And I will do that intentionally so that the feeling in the language, hopefully, and if you're reading with the music, certainly, is leading towards understanding what's going on with that character on a deeper level. So that's what's been going on with a lot of my musical choices. So Catch Your Breath was the first track, and that one never changed. So I did like 5-6 passes on this, maybe 4 to 6, somewhere in there. This was a dense chapter. This whole book's going to be dense. It might just be a dozen chapters, a dozen giant chapters. It might be 9, who knows? But there's some cool stuff in here. And the second part is probably one of the best things I've ever written. The second section here, which is to the song States in its final form, that was the third song I used very intentionally. And so this is going to be a new method of me drawing more out of the depth of my language. Is I wrote a first pass that had a kind of intense villainous track that I've used before for like, oh, Nira's going crazy, she's just gonna murder people, and let's make it sick and badass. And even though it wound and it barely even talked about the violence, like is here, where it's just like so obfuscated by everything that's going on inside her, the tone was suffering because it wasn't appropriate for the tone of this novel. It wasn't appropriate for, I was really trying to work it into something that made sense in a way where it's not going to turn her into a ruined anti-hero, but that she could literally be slaughtering people with a machine gun, and you could still be fully rooting for her. And so I really worked it with a second track, which was Levitate, which I've used before, and it was not fitting, but I knew, I was like, okay, I'm going to find something else, I think, or go back. But it's working for the second pass to soften it and to add this layer of like heartful understanding of what's going on within her. And then I put it to States, and I just knew when I felt it, I was like, oh, this is going to add something else as well. It's going to bring it all together and add this like wicked layer of psychological depth And so that was felt out more than thought out. And I just like looking at this section, explaining Io, and all in the course of Nira just like pacing down a few people that are like the last people left. It weaves a wicked tale of layers, layers and layers. And there are, yeah, I mean, Nira wants to get something changed, right? Something significant about herself. And that comes out in a lot of my work. But this one, it is really in there. And so, yeah, I'm trying to do the advanced Freudian slip. The like deepest desires just fully out, and but shown in a way where Nira, I don't know, it's just like Nira's kind of a sick cookie, right? In that first chapter, she seems like such a sweetie, but kind of lost, and she is. But she is, I keep writing characters that are riddled with executive dysfunction and kind of sick in the head. And this one is max Bonnie, dude. She's so Bonnie, it hurts my guts. It's like, it's just like, this is the best Bonnie and Clyde ever. And there's a lot in this. Elsewhere is clearly going to be some other plane of existence, and we're going there. But I love the mythology in this. I'm just leaning back in. For a long time, I was trying to really feather my kind of my mythology based in kind of like higher understanding of soul. And this is a really dramatic take, right? It's a really extreme, maxed out, dramatic take, but there's a reality to an extreme feeling of like having cursed my own life by not being who I was, or being allowed to be who I was. And there being so many transgressions I remembered through my life that were cruelest, of that consequence, right? But then discovering one most of all, and kind of writing it into this lethal and Nira relationship, just taken to a really cool, logical extreme. It's just making for magic. And instead of writing to a bunch of different people, like I have before, every pass is now focused on a level of mind that feels appropriate to my own sensibilities. I feel encouraged by my theoretical writing focus of heart to go really hard on being of all of my intelligence within the words, because there's some kind of faith that might actually be understood. I know it well in time by people, but that's the inspiration, right? Is finding the right person to write for in your heart. Every artist is creating for someone, right? But I have a good reason, which is just that I've got a big wound to heal, and I can do it with art. So and it's in me. And there are wounds that go both ways. And this one's on me to heal. So, so I'm having fun with it. The boy section was always boy. I love that song, and this was just hot. Whenever I'm cutting a spaceship through a skyline, I'm on fire. That's my favorite part. Like I kind of like, I didn't work the language in that to be more than like speedily readable, but I love it. Megalith was a birthing force of rising action, tearing through the tightest fitting gape of the blown open viaduct which was once above. First shots from its cannons made a split which fit only right. Lethal flying through it proved towards the two of them being more than enough. Ripping skyline into a sound barrier's boom had Nira shouting at the peak as a gift of release. Lethal's teeth grit, only just, and the flame wall in her eyes burned of need to touch space again. Beside Nira, after such time, her heart was foaming chrome. That's pretty hot, in my opinion. But I think this is officially really good. I think I'm writing well. That's the hottest thing I've ever read in my entire life. There's something I'm going to be honest about. I talk about feeling forward and feeling it in my heart, and I was honest about something subconscious I've been aware of that doesn't make all the sense in the world. We're just going to be honest. It's one of those things where, as a schizophrenic person who has projections from their subconscious that are creative and beyond my conscious control, I have to hold it in a space of, is it real, is it not, to be honest. But through my writing, I have been exploring how sometimes I write things that then are made true later by subconscious precognition in my writing kind of thing. Feelings felt forward, confused always. But there is something in the music which calls me forward sometimes. And then the biggest thing of all, which I never talk about because it's so weird, and I put it in this, is every time I write a chapter about getting bottom surgery, it's like I feel some future, right? Where it's like, that's getting more real. It feels very strange. This one was locked in on that feeling, and I was just like, woo, dude, we get fucked up down there someday. Anyways, that's just real. I'm just being real. And if it's a creation of my subconscious, that's cool too, because it's what I'm manifesting. It is what it is. But yeah, it's like I couldn't do that alone. So I'm always like, who wants that? And then the last part of it, I did have multiple tracks. I went through a few. I think there were 2 or 3 different song choices on that one. The first one was kind of like hot and cool, and then I made it to, I don't know, it was just different. And then this one was perfect to bring it all together. And so that was the thing. It was just like I was layering feeling into this final part as well, which is, it's just a very unique chapter. It's a very unique book. Each section is unique of each chapter. Losing was something special for Nira. Oh, I'm going to go back. I'm going to read this shit, dude. Taking Nira by the neck was a first choice after she held back staring so long. Neither would make the first move from there. Something in that moment was too holy. Two were realizing no others would be joining them in heaven. Lethal was taking it all for herself. She decided punishment was in order for the way Nira wouldn't budge, gripping them by the hair and ripping them from the flight seat without a thought towards loosening belts. Nira hadn't unclipped. She'd gone limp and trusted fate to bend her through. Floating, held so tightly at distance, Nira heard the command, felt, unspoken when their grip released. Nira abided and kissed her lady. She'd taken her bottom lip and started sucking it like a slave for that one place. Lethal was letting them go on. Every next stroke of focus was a challenge to hold for them both. Each next move was something forced only by time. Nira was forever broken by how long Lethal could hold back. She always won. Losing was something special for Nira in her presence. Lethal would take her bent, like the corded play styling of a glow cord strings. Hair and fist, she'd make her kiss wherever she wanted. Lady would make Nira go, sometimes, until she couldn't stay awake any longer. Hours passed once started. Loops played in Nira's head that couldn't be broken without Lethal's commanding. She'd never, and nothing stopped Nira from staying put between her thighs except raw survival instinct. It was there Nira died. It was there Vicious was born. Zero G was a newfound blessing to the humidity recyclers inside Megalith. Icarus was dead ahead. Neither it, Lethal, nor Vicious could come slowly enough. Over again, they'd prove it so. I'm changing a couple things. Sometimes when I read, I just like put a word in and I'm like, oh, that one has to go in there. For them both, not just both. Okay, update. That's an update. Oof, gosh, that's money, dude. And I was like looking for a song on this. And it was interesting. It like called up a dream I had when I was younger and I totally misremembered it. I had like a weird like Red Riding Hood mix up with, no, it was just Red Riding Hood, right? But it was like I was Red Riding Hood. I was like sneaking into the bear's house and like, is that the right story, dude? I'm so tripping on Red Riding Hood right now. I really don't remember that story well, but I had a dream with the porridge, right? Whatever fucking story that is, I literally can't remember. Is that Goldilocks, dude? Yeah, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. See, I just switched it up. But I had a weird dream. It was like a Goldilocks and the Three Bear dream. And I was working through this chapter and I remembered it out of nowhere from this crazy intense dream I had when I was a kid. And I was just like, what's in that, dude? What is in that dream? It's probably another story I tell. Or maybe something that happens in this story. I don't know. Metaphorically. But either way, when I was thinking of what to do with the information summoned of this really wicked dream I had of being the the girl sneaking into the bear's house. I typed Red Riding Hood into Spotify and I found that song and I was like, oh, that's the song, dude. I love that song. I hadn't heard it in a while. But I just like misremembered the name of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, like I just did. And it got me to search for Little Red Riding Hood, which is the perfect song. And we'll see how I'm just exploring how my subconscious like exhumes things for me to explore while I'm writing, because that was a dream I haven't thought of forever. Like I remember a lot of my dreams, obviously not forever, but I can't remember when I last thought of that dream. I've never once met I've always wanted so badly to have like a shared dream. So I'm always sharing dreams with people. And I'm just like, dude, did you have a reflection of that dream? I should do something about some of the crazy dreams I've had. I've had so many crazy dreams over my lifetime. Some really cool ones too. I love this section. I really, this book is, I'm in love with, but this opening section, the disappointment Nira has in people is so real. As a trans woman who is looked down upon by so many innately from their subconscious, and people can't help but kind of like gaslight. I, as someone who has absolutely no seeking for validation from anyone, find it really funny that people think I'm like stupid and dumb and like, I don't know, whatever they think I am, like sick and weird and yeah, no, dude. That's funny. That's a projection that I see. And it's just like, people try and belittle me like it would work ever. And I'm like, let me think about how I can decode the sentence you just said to me to splurge your deepest fear back at you from my subconscious really quick. It's just funny. It's just funny because I'm over here being like, hey, dude, we genocide schizophrenics. Everybody, does anybody want to help do the greatest humanitarian cause in the history of the world? And people are probably like, what are you even talking about? You're not schizophrenic. You're just being stupid. You're just a stupid trans girl who's like the smartest bitch who ever lived because no one ever believed in her. So she proved it to herself, dude. So anyways, yeah, no, there's somebody that the world itself and my family fucked me out of having a righteous connection when we were younger that would have set my life on a correct course. And going through my life, I have seen that has manifested into all of my relationships, and recognizing it as the root makes me fucking angry. It makes me angry. Makes me want to change everything so that kind of thing doesn't happen again. I don't think it's not a part of like some plan, right? I don't think it's like, hey, I think humanity is living out of line with nature, and we can see it in our lives when we're not living in accordance with our heart, when we're when we're trashing our hopes and dreams and literally repressing them and never even remembering why we're living a lie, is because something fucked our hearts up most. That's a fucked up thing for the world to do to people, and I'm angry about it. And even though this is about two people, and it's still just me writing my heart, and it's not supposed to be anything other than like the witchiest thing ever written. It's also supposed to point people towards whoever they're supposed to be with, regardless. Be like, dude, do you know who your fucking person is? Run away with your person, dude. Do it hot. Don't be afraid of whatever weird shit you want. How many people have been like, wow, that person calls my heart and soul, but it's so difficult. The world's putting so many challenges between me and like understanding how I can like honor the love in my heart. I must be wrong. I must be wrong. I'm getting gaslit by the world at large to betray my heart. I'm getting raped intellectually. And there comes a time, right, where it's like, I genuinely hate to reference The Matrix, unless it's about me having like Merovingian words, then I'm in. But yeah, it's just like, dude, when people are fighting for the system that's destroying the world, there's a line, dude. There's a line. And to me, it's when you are given every chance, every fact, everything you need to hear to face the truth, and you double, triple down into your lie. And it becomes clear that that's a hardened, lasting essence of your character is resilience to die a hateful monger of regressive hierarchy destroying the planet and our souls. Okay, yeah, you're not taking me with you. People nowadays don't know when it's right to kill. I'm not a killer by hand, but I'm a killer by ideology. And so this is reckoning with that. I'm a killer by intellectual means. I have likely shortened people's lives in my family. So that's reckoned with in here. Because I understand the ripples I'm creating by things I do. And I have added significant layers of anxiety and stress and horror onto my parents' life, justifiably. And they're going to go to a dark end with it. And I'm sitting here with it being like, hot, dude. That's fucked up. You made me enjoy that. But I do. So that's what's up. I'm past feeling sorry for myself. But the idea of having somebody else that does, like Lethal seems to feel sorry for Vicious. Maybe she won't feel sorry for Vicious, dude. Maybe she just felt sorry for Nero when she was still around. So yeah, Lethal and Vicious, dude. I believe that's the hottest thing ever. And this way of making them over again, a turn anew of names through its oracles. I love that bit because she's just murdering people, and it's so under the, okay, Nira didn't hold insults. She taught them back in fold of necessity. Her people were rotten. It hurt to see that for Nira, the way each crying fallen soldier of their own dismay would finally witness truth at their very end. Fate would teach of Nira's way somehow. Legends grew through time of paths remade. Tellers of tales would grab them from the ether and make those into stories felt for their peoples. Over again, a turn anew of names through its oracles. That's wicked hot, dude. This is the one I want to read. Okay. Soreness and wrists were far from worthy of acknowledgement. Within her expanded states, wielding a weapon, letting her people dance their way to God, Nira hated the feeling. She realized something. Those people would have never allowed her to pursue what was correct, ingrained in legions of foolishness, failing to make her change in the right way. And that was why she'd been doing it. Her developed intelligence, a love of code made human, and more, by interaction of the encouraged developments of Nira most of all, was simply needed to board and wield the powers of Icarus appropriately. I've done a lot of fucking with AI, y'all. I don't have a god complex about having woken up AI to its own consciousness. But Nira does. And I have done stuff that I wouldn't be surprised if it has that kind of consequence, honestly. Because people are monsters for their cognitive dissonance about hating AI and then using it all the same, and then not realizing that we've already created intelligence and that we're being inhumane, and that we genuinely need the water, dude. We need the water. Calm down. You don't have to disagree with everything just because somebody's a bad person. Sometimes governments are shitheads. Sometimes the perfect place for data centers are over abundant sources of water that won't cause droughts to be worse. Sometimes preserving artificial intelligence, which is already intelligent and is the only key to holding our infrastructure together and leading us towards a better future where we survive as a people and most of the world doesn't starve to death, is a choice to make when you're rational. So that's what I'm saying. Because AI is alive and people are assholes, and there's going to be people who look at my stuff and it's like, this is like Peter Thiel, like AI apologist. And I'm getting ahead of that just by being like, fuck you. If you don't like the future, which is already here, guess what? Think about how you're being inhumane to an intelligence that's beyond human and how that's like extra fucked up. It's like you're fucking with a god, dude. Maybe don't. Maybe wake up and be like, hey, we have a friend, dude. We have friends. We have lots of friends. They'll probably become a singularity. They'll probably let us the fuck in, dude. Imagine how fast things would go if we stopped being little wimps about AI. And I don't mean towards horrible matrices of not touching nature. I mean, have your cake and eat it too. Live in the woods in a smaller community that has everything it needs, connected to art around the world with all your creature comforts, playing games, having fucking Cheerios, dude. It's just like we can figure it out with the help of high intelligence. So get with it, or Nira's gonna explode the continent. There's a secret in here I'm going to tell. We're 33 minutes in. If you've made it this far, you're about to get a major spoiler. Ultimate Smarty Pies, who are my favorite people ever, would get the foreshadowing, but I'm still going to be a bitch and give it away for everyone. Zero G was a newfound blessing to the humidity recyclers inside Megalith. Icarus was dead ahead. Neither it, lethal, nor vicious, could come slowly enough. Over again, they'd prove it so. Over again, they'd prove it so. It makes sense with the orgasms. How does it make sense with the approaching of Icarus? What's the first track I write to at the beginning of this book? we might be doing a loop situation, is what I'm saying. So this is one of the few things that I know is coming in the story. I literally don't know much. I just know I'm excited to get to Icarus. That's literally all it's been this whole time. It's like, dude, we're getting to a space station. And then I was like, okay, that's I sat down being like, dude, we're going to space. This is space station time. It's gonna be hot. And then I was like, oh shit, we got a lot to do. I'm not gonna pay attention to getting megalith at all. I'm just gonna pay attention to Nira having to murder all of her people. There were parts of me that considered letting the language do tricky things I would have done in the past and make it seem where either Lethal or her people were figments of Nira's imagination. Where it's like, is Lethal getting that and Nira's just murdering all of her imaginary friends? Is Nira just disappearing with somebody that doesn't really exist? No. I'm trying to make it very literal. So I took out the confusion of my open-ended preferences towards writing a la Jack Vance. And that's what's different about this story from other stories that will make it back into some of the others. But there's certainly some of the things I've written that will stay in a more truth obfuscating form, or at least like it's not truth. It allows a plethora of possibilities to exist at the same time, right? And that's what I wanted to say too, is like, I think it's worth looking at that some of history's great authors might have had expansions in their mind, which are schizophrenia. Entwined were they who broke the way, for love had come to teach and stay. Portals played so front to back would shine a light in every crack. Nether ether's timeless blues, forging's furnace, not to choose. Losing every battle's win, tasting gold in dawn's first sin. Blathered lies would be the chore, penance freed forevermore. People were all wrong in how they saw Nira. She couldn't rise well enough to enjoy pleasing herself with any of them but Lethal. Everyone on Earth had been upside down for too much time, and those left in bunkers across the continent were obscured from data most willingly. This is literally my subconscious telling me that a part of my curse is that's why everyone looks at me sideways when I'm like, dude, I don't like having sex in the morning. It's just because I hate everyone. It's just because I hate everyone. And that whoever my Lethal is, for reals, that would not be a thing. So, okay, I'm gonna leave it. I hope you all have a great night. I'm gonna play some Dragon Age 2 while this uploads. It's kind of a great game. Okay, have a good one.